So, still doing my grad school thing this week and don't have a lot of brain cells to give to anything on the side, but in my free time, what I have consumed as far as social media and news, I've been interested in this CHAZ thing because it reminds me of the Occupy movement, right? Um, Primarily in that they are occupying a space that they do not own, and they're doing so as a statement. But it's a bit different of a statement. The statement is we don't want police here, we want a different sort of policing in our community. So it's like six city blocks in Seattle that they've done this in, and uh, depending on the news that you're watching or the place that you're consuming news about this place, you will see maybe the police station that is boarded up, and you'll be like, huh, the police actually have been ejected from there. Like they abandoned their own police station because it's not safe for them. Yada yada. But what I've found, based on a number of citizen journalists, on YouTube and on uh, TikTok, is that the image that the mass media is giving us about the CHAZ is a bit skewed. And primarily the first thing is that I noticed was the boarding up and the barriers around the police station were put there by the community members of the CHAZ, not so much the police department. Though all those barriers on the outside are themselves trying to keep the building from being burned down or something like that, and all of the windows are actually not broken. The boards aren't like there to replace broken out windows. What windows you can see as people get closer and get a closer look at that place, the windows are all intact. So there's really it's a connection between what happened to that third precinct in Minneapolis where it got burned down, and you see people going through it right now, as far as like they're going through the wreckage with cameras and stuff. People are connecting that image to what little they're seeing from a pulled out view of the police station in the CHAZ, and they're thinking, oh well, those horrible rioters must have come and busted in the windows, and that's not the case. Also, oh, let me just say that this is not the first time that I've seen camera angles and just a pulled out view being used in order to affect people's perception of what a movement like this is about. But what I'm used to is people cropping off the left side and the right side of a giant protest of, say, 50 people in order to make it look like there could be more people on the left side or the right, because you're just seeing this box, right? And what you're not seeing is that there's nobody on either side, because that would make the movement look smaller. So that's what I'm used to seeing as far as people just being dishonest with their photojournalism. But what also is not being said, and I think is a huge point, is the businesses that reside within the CHAZ. They are still open and they are taking U.S. currency, just like they used to. People are going in and out of the liquor store and buying liquor. People are going into other places and making purchases. The only building that seems to be shut down from all the citizen journalism footage that I've seen is the police station. It's the other businesses are thriving in the middle of it. But what I saw that would be threatening from the citizen journalism, I guess, is they planted trees in memory of black people who were killed by police, and they were doing drum circles and yoga classes, and they had a brass band that tried to do a rendition of Rage Against the Machine's Killing in the Name of, which I appreciated more than Machine Gun Kelly's version, because I felt like Machine Gun Kelly didn't have enough energy in his voice until the very last line that he sang. That's an aside, but I feel like with the news of what we're getting from images of the CHAZ, the news seems to be preparing people for a raid of the CHAZ by, like, police that are militarized or the National Guard or whatnot to remove it, to shut it down, to clean it up. And it's really not telling the whole story, right? And that very much reminds me of the Occupy protests. I even wonder if a lot of what happened during the Occupy protests is happening within the CHAZ, like the General Assembly meetings and whatnot. I wonder if they're all snapping fingers if they agree to stuff, I wonder, how similar this is. And really, I think that the reaction to these sorts of movements these days, it comes down to, this is a strange theory I have, but basically, when music was better, all of our protest movements were co-opted into music tours like Lollapalooza, Woodstock, and the like. But when you get an anti-corporatist element to it and the music sucks, and there's no cohesive sound and style to everything, then you get it shut down. Because if you can't co-opt it and put some brand names on it and make it legitimized by capitalism, then it has to be shut down. It has to be cleaned up, and I think that's where we're at with the pendulum swing, is all of the movements are being delegitimized by our culture at large, especially our mass media, and it won't be until some of these movements are able to be normalized into, having sponsors, or, just being able to be promoted and be brand friendly. I don't believe it'll be until then that we see things that don't have to be completely cleaned up by militarized police, So unless it's the X Games or Lollapalooza style or Burning Man or anything like that, where it's not threatening, then it's going to be met with a lot of resistance. And I have a bad foreboding feeling for what's going to happen to the CHAZ, especially if the idea of the CHAZ spreads like the Occupy movement did, and we start to have CHAZ London and CHAZ New York and CHAZ Miami. When that happens, then the imperative will be even greater to shut it the fuck down. And so I hope that it stays small and meaningful, and maybe even becomes friendly to the rest of society, because, you know, history shows us that the world has a way of dealing with such upstart movements. That's all I got for today.